The thing about Boots is he's staying in there.
Oh, no.
Taking it up the gears. Nice.
By the number. So, who had a better performance versus David Evanesian? Jerron Boots Ennis or Terrence Bud Crawford? And that's the black toe joggers. A little bit of cream. So, what I decided to do, I put up a poll yesterday, and we're going to look at that poll, and we're also going to analyze the CopyBox numbers to see if, by the numbers, who had a better performance versus David Evanesian. Now, the poll I put up yesterday, I put it on X, and I also put it on our YouTube community, okay? And the question I asked was, what's more impressive? Terrence Bud Crawford KOing David Evanesian by round 6, or Jerron Boots Ennis breaking David Evanesian's jaw and breaking his ribs by round 5. What impressed you more? So the first thing I had to do was to see the population. How many boxing fans are there? So there are 2 billion people who viewed boxing worldwide, okay? So I'm thinking, well, the population would be 2 billion. Now, how many of that 2 billion would be a proper sample size? So I looked at my trusty calculator, and I looked at, with a 2% margin of error and 95% of confidence, let's add 2 billion as the population. And the proper sample size would be 2,401. Now, when you look at how many people voted on our poll across X and YouTube, 7,000 people voted between the two. That is more than enough people to represent 2 billion boxing fans. A whopping 72% of the people who voted that Jerron Boots Ennis breaking the jaw and the ribs of David Evanesian was more impressive than Bud Crawford knocking out David Evanesian by round 6. I get the logic here. I do. In boxing, there's been, many KOs, and many times you can even be winning a bout and get caught with a great shot and KO'd. For Jerron Boots Ennis to stop David Evanesian a round earlier, but by breaking his jaw, breaking bones, breaking his jaw, and breaking his rib, if you compare the two, or if you were to plug yourself into that situation and say, okay, I'm David Evanesian, I get caught with a great shot and KO'd, or I get my jaw broken and rib broken, most of you, it seems, would have preferred to have just been KO'd than getting your body broken up and your team stopping the fight for you. Don't forget, it was David Evanesian's team who stopped the fight. But what this also proves is that Terrence Crawford is more of a knockout artist. That's what he is. It just takes one clean shot from Terrence Crawford, and he calculates that. And I think that is supported by these CopyBox numbers. Let's look at the CopyBox. Now, the reason why we're looking at the CopyBox is because there's a narrative that Boots Ennis was hit too many times in the bout. So naturally, you want to compare his fight with the like opponent, David Evanesian. You want to compare that to the gold standard, the best in the world, Terrence Bud Crawford, who also fought David Evanesian. So in looking at the CopyBox, Bud Crawford landed 80 total punches versus David Evanesian, and he landed 54 power punches, while David Evanesian landed only 48 total punches and 44 power punches versus Bud Crawford. And that's good. Now, you compare that to Boots. When you look at Boots, Boots landed a whopping 152 total punches versus David Evanesian and 124 power punches. How many punches landed on him? 53 punches total were landed on him by David Evanesian, while 47 power punches were landed. This means that Boots Ennis landed 72 more total punches and 70 more power punches. Also, punches landed on them only 5 more total punches were landed on Boots than Bud, and only 3 more power punches were landed on Boots than Bud. So if the narrative is that Boots Ennis had more punches landed on him, and the gold standard in Terrence Bud Crawford only had 5 less punches landed on him, then one can argue that Bud Crawford also had too many punches landed on him. Now let's look at the ratio. In Bud Crawford's fight versus Evanesian, he landed 1.7 times more punches than David Evanesian. That means that every 1.7 punches Bud landed on David Evanesian, he landed 1 punch of his own. Now with Boots Ennis, Boots landed 2.9 times more than David Evanesian. This means that pretty much every 3 punches Boots landed on David Evanesian, he landed 1 punch of his own. So I'm going to ask you guys in the comments below, after looking at the copy box numbers, who do you think had a greater performance, Boots Ennis or Bud Crawford versus David Evanesian? Let me know how you feel in the comments below. Showbiz Lil Dope, I'm out.